So, hi there. Today we're going to do a project that's going to combine a couple styles of two different artists. One, his name is Jim Dine, and he is an American artist, and he's also a poet. And he's known for doing hearts. He's done them in paintings and drawings in printmaking and actual sculptures, like three-dimensional hearts. And the other artist we're going to study a little bit about his style is Picasso. Pablo Picasso is his name, and he is famous for what they would call Cubism, where he's broken things down into geometric shapes. And you'll find there will be artists, if you study about artists and you learn about artists, they have certain styles, but sometimes their styles change. I'm going to show you a couple pictures from Picasso. Picasso, in his early paintings, he could paint things very realistic, and so he's done some really beautiful pictures with flowers, and he's done a lot of portraits. But here's a picture. I'm sure you can see this. Here's a portrait that he has done. Here is a still life, and notice how they're kind of broken up into geometric shapes. And then here's this is actually a portrait. He'll say this is a portrait of a person. Sometimes you might recognize it, sometimes you might not, but notice all the geometric shapes in there. There's another one here that is geometric shapes. This is called Portrait of Conweiler. I believe I pronounced that correctly. And you can kind of see, like, there's the nose, maybe there's the eyes. And it's very abstract, kind of hard to recognize shape sometimes. This one is a still life. And I see things that I recognize. I see musical instruments. Looks like a guitar or a stringed instrument of some sort. Down here maybe as well. So in a still life sometimes it's just a collection of objects that you will put on a table maybe, and then draw them and just practice drawing. And notice how there's different shapes, and it's very, it's not super realistic, but you can recognize some things. So anyway, that's Picasso. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine those two styles, and I'm going to show you a couple hearts. Here's our first one. We're going to draw the design, and notice how you can recognize the heart, but then we've broken the spaces up. So it almost looks like it was maybe a piece of glass or stained glass, and you dropped it and it just broke. And those are kind of like the breaking points. Okay, so there's one. Here's another one. Notice how some of the lines go all the way through the object, but this doesn't go all the way through the whole picture. It goes partway through the object. This one goes partway, and it's broken our shape, which is a heart, into different new shapes, but they're different sizes and they have different angles. We're also going to break up the background into different shapes and angles, and then we'll talk about the color later, but we'll plan out how we want to do the color, and it'll make the shape stand out. If you want to, in the end, we'll talk about that as well. You can do some patterns on top of your coloring if you want, or you can just leave it plain. This one, when I colored this, I did like curves. Mostly on the outside, I did like straight lines or curves, accenting the heart, and then I did dark to light going into the heart, so into those shapes. You can hold your paper horizontally, or you can hold it vertically. Here's another one I'm working on, a little bit different color scheme. Here's another one that's just not a lot of patterns, just kind of going from light to dark. And I decided on this one to go light to dark going out, so it almost will look like the heart is glowing. And then here's another style of coloring that I'm not finished with yet, where I took each shape and I went dark to light within each shape. So dark to light, dark to light, dark to light. So you'll have a lot of options when we get to the coloring stage. But right now I want to work on the design. What I want you to do is think of basic recognizable shapes. And something back about Picasso before we go on. Picasso a lot of times, if you are at Disneyland and you are learning how to draw, they have like a class you can go to for fun and learn how to draw Mickey Mouse or different creations of their characters. Or sometimes if you have a how-to book on drawing, you will notice how geometric shapes are often used to draw pictures. And that's kind of what Picasso, what he did in his still life. And there's things in nature, like for instance, a tree. Say I'm doing we did this recently in our perspective. Okay, there's my simple tree. Well, it's basically the shape of a triangle, okay, like a long triangle. So I might draw a triangle lightly and then say, okay, I'm going to kind of fit my tree into the shape of this triangle. And that's basically the shape that I start with. Sometimes if we've drawn people, we start with geometric shapes. Maybe we've talked about drawing like a skeleton, like I've done a person like this, where I should draw this darker so you can see. I usually draw it lighter so that when I color on top, you don't see. But here's my body, here's my hips, here's my legs. And so I've got this skeleton for a body. And then there's the feet and there's some hands. Well, then I fill it in. I fill in the torso, and that's kind of a rectangular shape maybe. And then I've got long rectangles for my legs, short little, maybe pointed, maybe triangles for my feet. And then my arms are long rectangles and so on. And then so I've got a structure there, but it's geometric. And then when I actually draw it, then I would probably have done that lighter, and then I'll come in here and I might draw details. I might draw a face. I might draw long hair because I'm going to make it a girl. I might have her wearing a t-shirt, and I probably would maybe color over the shapes or the structure. But a lot of times we use geometric shapes. If we're drawing an animal, we might just say, okay, there's a two circle and an oval. And then you've got the shape. So what do you think I might be making? And I can start filling it in. I can, there's my little cat. I can put legs in the front, and little shapes here, and then I can start forming the animal. But a lot of times we can use geometric shapes, and that's helpful. And it kind of breaks it down and makes it simple to draw. So, but back to our project, things that you can draw. Okay, I'm going to go back to this first. I want you to pick a shape that's recognizable. Something that I would say is recognizable. Okay, a heart's recognizable. I draw that, and you would say it's a heart. Okay? If I draw this, hopefully you'll recognize that. That's an apple. So staying with it's a little oblong, the fruit family. Well, that's a pretty bad drawing. Okay, so what would that shape be? That would be a pear. It doesn't have to be fruit. It can be some symbolic thing. But if I just make something circular, you're going to say that could be a ball. It could be a basketball, a baseball, a volleyball. It could be an orange. It's a little oblong, but that's not easily recognized. Okay. So I want you to think of something that's easily recognized, okay? I'm just drawing a few shapes here that you might recognize, and you can say what they are in one word, okay? So that's what I want you to pick, and you can draw whatever you want. There, that's recognizable. I want to make it extra yummy, so I'm going to add like the second scoop on that. But pick something that is a shape that people will recognize. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go back to, we'll get our cardstock is what we're working with, and we're going to draw with our eraser again. I like drawing with erasers because then if I change my mind or I need to make a new line, I'm not doing the back and forth, draw, erase, and then I end up with a bunch of dark lines that I can't erase on my paper. So if I'm just going to go with the heart. Okay, so if I'm going to go with the heart, I'm going to hold the paper this way. And when I draw with the eraser, I just have to find a nice edge. Okay, so I'm going to move this up a little bit. I think that's too low. So I'm going to wipe that little bit off. And I'm going to extend this up a little bit more here. Okay, so I'm going to get my shape drawn first with my eraser, and after that I will draw it in pencil, and then I will break up my space after I do that. So that's good enough. Don't worry, like when you're drawing with the eraser, remember you're just giving yourself a guideline. I'm not going to follow every little piece of eraser dust. Like I've got some eraser dust up here. I'm not going to go up there with that. I'm just giving myself a general layout of where I want my shape to be, okay? So it's not the perfect line. It's just a guideline, okay? So I'm going to draw it, and then I'm going to get rid of my eraser dust. I got a little bit crooked there, so I'm just going to clean that little guy up. And then there's my heart, and I've drawn it lightly, so you might not be able to see right off, but maybe I should go do it a little bit darker. I'm going to go ahead and do it darker because sometimes on the video it doesn't really show up, and when I'm filming I can't really tell. Okay, so there's a little bit darker. Now I want to break my shape up, and I want to show you how not to break it up. We don't want to break our shape up by just doing a bunch of lines going through the middle of it. It can get pretty confusing if I added some more lines here. Then if I go like this, then I end up with these skinny lines here, skinny shapes here, and it just looks like all the lines are converging here, and it doesn't have as interesting of a look. On this one, I broke up the background, but I didn't break up the shape. Here's my flower, but I want to break up the actual shape of the object and break up. When I say break up, that means divide the background as well. So I'm going to go back to my eraser, and I want to be careful that I don't end up with tiny little lines like what I have here. So I'm going to be aware of that as I'm dividing my picture up. So I'm going to start out, I think I might do one line that goes all the way through, okay? So that's going to go from one side of the paper to the other. And I don't think I'm going to do a lot of lines doing that because I think it'll be more interesting to break it up differently. So I'm going to go from the middle line and go out to the side here, all the way to the edge here. And I might do a similar thing here, but change the angle, okay? Then I might, I'm looking for bigger spaces. There's kind of a big space here, so I'm going to want to divide that up. There's a big space here. I'll want to divide that up. So I think I'm going to do one more line going like that all the way through. Then I'm going to do a line here. I think I'll do one maybe going from this angle like that, but I'm not going to go all the way to the edge of the paper. I'm going to start another line here. And that way my background's breaking up a little bit differently. I might put one straight up from there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, I don't know if I like this angle so much, so I'm gonna adjust that one. I want it to, because that's a little bit tight there, so I'm gonna change that a little bit, and then I'm gonna see if I still like what I've got going on. Nope, I don't really like that. So I'm gonna put this here, and I'm gonna make this line be all the way through. Okay, so I've got a line here, and if I want to break this so it's not in one thing, I might actually just do a simple line there. Okay, so once I've decided with that, then I'll go ahead and work with my pencil. I'm going to try one more thing here and see if that would look good there. I don't know, I'm kind of not sure what I want to do with that. Yeah, I kind of think I like that better. Okay, so my line that I originally did that's going right through all the way, I'm going to put it dark there like that. And then I have another one that's going from the middle across. One that goes from here. I think I'm going to do this. It goes there. One thing I didn't show you, let me back up just a second. If I'm doing a line here, and I do a line here, and say I did one line that went all the way through here. If I draw a line here, I'm going to end up with this tiny little triangle here. So I don't want that, so I might eliminate that. So just be aware that you don't have any little tiny sections. We don't want little tiny spaces. So back to my original design. I'm going to go with this line going like that. And then we'll go back to this one going like this. Okay, so I'm going to get this one straight up. I'm going to get rid of my eraser dust. Okay. Now I've drawn darker than I would have you draw. I would draw lighter just in case you still want to change your mind or something's a little bit different. But notice how the shapes, this line is one that goes all the way through. This one only goes halfway through, but it goes past the heart and off the page. This one just is its own little line that's dividing the background. This is its own line dividing the background, and so is this one. So all the lines aren't going to go through everything. You want it to look kind of broken up a bit. It's kind of hard to explain that. So that's our layout for our design. I have a couple designs, other lines, and I'll show you. It's a little bit bolder. So here's a heart, and I did the, I broke up the shapes. Notice this is similar to the other one. It goes all the way through. This one goes part way through. This one goes part way through. This one just divides a section of the heart. That one just divides a section of the heart. And this one is only dividing the background. This one, this one. So I have quite a few dividing the background on this one. So here's another layout of breaking our space up, which gives it kind of that cubistic look. Here's another one. Here's an ice cream cone. This one I had to be a little bit careful because if I draw the line through here, I've got like these little detail areas. If I drew the line and it went right through here and you saw it going through here, I'm going to end up with a little space. So I kind of had to be a little bit careful that I ended up with pretty decent sizes. This is probably my smallest shape and this one here. So we don't want to make it too complicated because we want it to have that simple look. So there's that shape. And this is the one that I actually started working on. So you're going to notice I have letters here. When we've done some of the other projects, we want to make a color plan. For this, it's not a color wheel, so you can pick whatever colors you want to use. I'd use a variety of colors. You don't have to put them in an order of where it makes sense with a color wheel. You can just put the colors next to each other that you like. You can color however you would like to color. You can go light to dark, dark to light. You can go dark on the outside of the shape to light in the middle. And you can, all the shapes can be different. So what I've done with this one, I've almost done coloring here, and I'll continue coloring on this one in a moment. But when I've laid out the colors, I put green here. So I definitely don't want to put green right next to the green. So I put a G here for green. Then I wanted to do this one green, and I decided I would do this one green. Okay. I have for blue, I have a blue here, I have a blue here, and I have a blue here. I have a red here. This one I think is going to be yellow tones, kind of yellows to oranges. I've got orange here, and I've got another yellow one here, and I have orange here and orange here, and I think I'm going to adjust that in a little bit because I'm not sure if I want orange there unless I go super dark here. I might go back, I might do purple here or something, but I'll figure that out in a moment. So let's take one, like, I'll take a shape that we have here and just kind of help you, show you what you might do. So maybe if I want to do this purple, I can look around, and if I like purple and I want to repeat it a few times, I might decide I want purple in a really big spot. So this is a big spot, so I might put purple there as well. So I've got purple, purple. And to balance it out, I don't want to have all the purples over here. I might add a third or do 4 purples if I want, but I might add a third purple, and maybe I add it in the heart. So maybe I make that a purple. So then I might say, what looks good next to purple? I think yellow looks good next to purple because yellow is bright, but I may not want to do yellow in a big space because there's not a lot of color changes from dark to light in yellow. So I might say, let's put yellow here, and I'm going to go yellows to oranges in some pattern. I'm not sure if I want to do yellow again, but I might do yellow here. Let's just put it there, and I can change it. I'm going to do it lightly to begin with. I think I want to do this one green, okay? So if I've got green there, and I like green a lot, so I might do green over here, and I might also do green over here. And then I haven't done blue yet. maybe I'll do blue up here. Maybe I'll do blue on my heart here, and maybe I'll do blue over here. I haven't done red. I don't have a lot of spaces left, but I might say in the heart, I think I'll do this red because I can do pinks and other shades. Maybe I'll do this one red. And now I've got one more. I haven't done anything just plain orange, so I might say I'm going to just do one orange. And if I decide I don't like the way it's laid out, or I think there's too much yellow here, and since I only have one orange, I might say, I think I want to do this one orange. We have a squeaky door in this room. Thank you, Jenna. So I might make this one orange. So I can adjust it a bit, and you're doing it all in pencil, and then you get it laid out how you want, of where you want to do your colors. Then after that, I'm gonna stop for a second, and then we're gonna pick up at coloring, and then I'll just demonstrate what I'm doing with my apple. I'll go back to my apple instead of just starting scratch on the coloring. Okay, thank you.